Good evening, everyone. Let's have a moment's silence and invoke their presence for the next 60 minutes. Thank you. So, a very warm welcome to the second day of Love and Attachment, an online workshop organised by NAMAH, the Journal of Integral Health. I've just come off the dentist's chair, so please excuse me if my voice is a little bit unclear. Before I introduce the facilitator for tonight's session, perhaps I'd like to say a few words about the hosts of this event. Because most of you will know that NAMAH is a part of the Sri Aurobindo Society, but it is not just a unit which organises workshops, courses and programs. It's a journal of almost 30 years standing. It is available for subscription in print or as an e-journal and looks at the influence of the soul or the spirit in the human quest for health and well-being. Details can be found in our website, which is listed in the flyer of this course itself. So as I said, NAMAH is the Journal of Integral Health and takes a very profound perspective of all the factors behind man's wholeness, health and well-being. It looks at individual health from the standpoint of the evolutionary process and divine plan. It views health and growth as almost synonymous terms. It looks at the whole from the context of that entity that alone can make everything and everyone whole, and that is the soul itself. So I recommend that you give it a try. I don't think you'll be disappointed. So there we are. Back to love and attachment. Today's facilitator is Dr. Yogesh Mohan. Great pleasure to introduce him to you. And the subject of his session is inner love, inner freedom and love. Now, Dr. Yogesh Mohan started his professional career in modern medicine, where he served as a doctor at NAMAH Hospital here in Puducherry. He has always possessed an innate gift for healing, and this achieved expression and added a whole new dimension when he founded Consciousness as Medicine. The integral wisdom and knowledge of consciousness as Shakti has become the basis of his work as healer and therapist. He also has a profound understanding of yogic psychology. He is active at many conferences and workshops and brings the essence of deeper insights and practices developed and distilled over more than 20 years of inner work. Based in Chennai, he is also the CEO of Savitha Medical College and Hospital. I'm sure that this will be a fascinating and important session. His sessions are always interactive, so please be prepared to share your thoughts and questions out loud where invited. So over to you, Yogesh, and enjoy the session.
Thank you, James, for the wonderful introduction to the session, and for giving a brief background all the participants today's program.
I think you could be a bit louder, Yogesh, if that's possible.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, a little bit louder.
It's a very, I would say, interesting theme of the whole seminar, wherein we are looking at love and attachment, and there are many speakers who will share their experience, their understanding of the theme from their own perspective, from their own experience. But as you will see over the next few days, there would be a common thread linking all these sessions. And I would recommend that it's very important to catch the thread, the commonality which is the essence of all the speakers. Even though we may be talking about different topics, different dimensions, different perspectives, but it's that common thread which links all the topics, links all the speakers, and links all of us. So before we proceed further in this session, and I would invite all of you to come forward, participate, and share your views on the theme of the session. Share your perspectives and be free to ask any question linked to the theme. So you can unmute yourself and become a part of today's evening session. I see around 25 attendees over here. Dr. Seema, Prabhu, Chitra, Sanjeev, Rick, Yasho, Ira, Nilu, Jale, Dilip, Rashmi, Shreya, Nalini, Komya, Paul, Joey, Shilpa, Venugopal. So welcome all of you. Either in the chat box or you can unmute and then we can start.
Thank you.
Yes, Ira.
Yes.
Because there must be something which brings you to this session, something which attracts you to this particular topic. So if you share with us, the sessions would become more meaningful. Because there is no, I don't think any lecture helps. So session I feel should be relevant and meaningful to the participants.
So I have a question that one of the reasons why I joined this session was to understand better what attachment means. Because I'm at the transition in life where my older daughter is going to go to college in a month and a half, and she's going to leave home. So I want to be a loving parent, but I want to understand my boundaries where, to have the right attachment, perhaps, if I can, to be a little more conscious and not just, be governed by sentiments only.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Riya. Just hold on to your questions. We will take them.
So this is actually more of a reason than a question.
Yeah.
The reason why I wanted to join this workshop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand. Who else is online? Yasho, Milu, Mukti, Dr. Seema.
Somewhere I've heard of mothers speak of detached attachment. So,
Yes,
right
Nalini.
on that, I would be happy. A sense of detached attachment. So, so difficult to live. Imagine to live without attachment. But can we bring help to that attachment?
Pardon? Can you bring?
Bring wellness, a healthy sort of an attachment. When we say detached attachment, can we elaborate on that? Yeah, detached attachment we speak of.
Okay,
So, what exactly is detached attachment like?
Okay, we will. That's an interesting term, no? I think we should cover that somewhere. Sometime we will cover
Because
it.
it's so paradoxical. It sounds so paradoxical. So, I really need to understand that a little more.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Ji.
Hi, sir. This is Mukti here.
Yes.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes. So I actually, I'm facing this currently. I have realized that I love my father very deeply, and the very thought of him maybe going away, God knows when, makes me feel very sad. So that's one. And so I want to understand, why does love hurt so much?
Mm-hmm. Yes, go ahead. No, you're audible.
Yeah, so I just placed my question. So I was saying that these of late I am facing this fear of losing my father. I have very deep love for him, and I wonder, why is love bringing in the thoughts of fear? And secondly, if I love someone so much, then why does it hurt? It should actually make me feel happy, right? But it's hurting me. So I'm unable to understand, why am I facing fear and hurt in love?
Yeah. See, I brought out in a very simple way the entire theme, perhaps, of this whole seminar. Love, attachment, love, hurt, and why love hurts. Yes, that's a profound truth to that statement. Yes, Ms. Komla, you have said something. Would you like to share?
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, so I have just put across the reason I've joined the session, the whole workshop of these 6 days, to basically understand there is a difference and as well as a connection between love and attachment. And we feel that. But what is exactly and what do we need to do exactly, like the last speaker spoke about the pain. So why is it the pain also attached with love and attachment? So basically, yes, to clarify my doubts and get a better understanding of the two.
Okay. Can we hear from Chitra and others?
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I'm traveling, so I won't be able to talk much because I'm on. My network is also just troubling a lot. So I would prefer listening.
You can talk. You are very much audible. So.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, we all feel that if we love someone, then we are attached. So we relate true love with attachment. So I'm just here to know how to love with detaching oneself. Thank you.
If I may ask all of you, I'm sure as we go along in the journey of our life, we make relations, we are born in some relationships, we make new relationships, we fall in love, we fall out of love, love. So we do experience all the stages of a relationship, all different stages of human love. Some stages are very beautiful, which takes us to a whole new different experience, and some stages are painful and give us a lot of a different type of experience. But nevertheless, being human, it's inevitable that we will have relationships, we will fall in love, and so the question which seems to come so far, the few of you who have expressed is, there seems to be some conflict between love and attachment. There seems to be a sort of a fear of attachment, if I may say so. We are naturally attached human beings, but there is a inbuilt fear attached to that, perhaps a fear of losing. So the fear of losing seems to be inbuilt in this whole phenomena of love and attachment. So that's why the whole question comes about detachment so that we don't experience that hurt, so that we don't experience the pain. So Mr. Dilip has written, begin the session, I would say that it is very much normal to fall in love. It's very much normal for us human beings to be attached to the people we love very dearly. And you cannot wish away that attachment just like that. It's not possible. The relationship between a mother and child, between the parents and the children, the attachment, the love, you just cannot wish it away. So the question comes, so the question which in fact I have as an individual and also at a personal level is, how do we transform our relationships of love, so that it retains all the beauty, it retains the expansion of consciousness which comes when you love someone. Because when you love someone, it changes you. When you love someone very dearly, in fact, you are inviting the consciousness of that person to become a part of your living consciousness. When you say you love someone, that person's consciousness becomes in some ways a part of you. You become connected and you participate in the same field of consciousness. That's why you would experience, especially with the people whom you are very deeply connected, that you can understand them even without meeting them. You can intuitively feel what is happening in their lives, even though they may be thousands of kilometers apart. You can intuitively experience all that they are experiencing at some level, because your consciousness and that person's consciousness become linked at some level. So you just cannot intellectually, morally just detach yourself just like that with your mind alone. It's not possible, because you are linked at a very deep level, at a deeper level, and at levels of which you are not conscious of. You are not mentally aware of those levels, but still you will feel that, and I think that would be an experience for each one of you. Wherever you have a deep love, you will feel that, you will experience that. So what I would say is, it's a joy it's a blessing to have that type of love, to have that type of relationship in which you have such a deep bond with other persons, with other human beings, with other consciousness, and with other souls. And it's something to be cherished, something to be nurtured, and something to be divinized. So that's the real essence of what I would like to share with you. That we need not run away from any relationship. We need not forcefully detach ourselves from the human relations we have, because there is a potential for them to become very beautiful, very divine. And as we are humans, relationships are natural, but we need to transform. That's the key word. Transform the nature of our love, the nature of the relationship, so that otherwise, in a very ordinary sense of love, relationships, attachment, there is a divine element, but also there creeps in a very, very human element of possessiveness, a human element of exclusivity, a human element of trying to control, a human element of trying to take advantage of. Now, these are the human elements which actually destroys a relationship, which destroys love, which eats into the soul of a relationship. So what we need to understand and sort of purify, that's again another key word, purification. So we need to purify our relationships, our love with fellow humans, with our children, with our wives, with our girlfriends, with our children, with our parents. Purify that relationship, purify that vibration which we have for them, so that we remove the vitalistic elements which come from the lower vital of trying to possess them for our own happiness alone. We must understand very deeply that the purpose of a human life, the purpose of our life or anybody else's life, is an evolution of their consciousness, evolution of the soul, an experience which will elevate the being. So we must allow in our love enough space, enough freedom for the love to grow and for that person to grow, to mature, to evolve. You would have experienced that at some points, at some elements in your relationship with your loved one, there's a feeling of expansion, there is a feeling of elation. that comes naturally because your heart is expanding, your consciousness is expanding, and you're accepting somebody else as you, as yourself, and you're giving. You're giving love, you're giving care, you're giving good wishes, you're giving all that is good in you. You are showering all that is the most beautiful in you for the other person. Your prayers, your grace, all that you have, you want to give to the other person. So when you're in that type of, that framework of consciousness, that framework of the mind and the heart, so it's a very beautiful experience to have. It elevates your being, it makes your consciousness much more refined and gives you that experience which you cherish. So that's a pure form of the love, where there is a givingness, where there is love, where there is expansion. But at the same time, there'll be certain times in your relationship, certain times in that journey of love, where you feel that element of jealousy coming in, where you will feel that element of control coming in. Why is that person talking to others? Why is that person giving love to others? Why is that person not giving me enough? I'm giving him so much. Why is he not returning that? So whenever that feeling of reciprocation comes, the business, I give you so much, what are you giving me? That element of bargaining comes. I have done so much for you. What have you done for me? That element of need comes. When you become dependent on the other person, that is the time when the love becomes strained. That is the time when the love loses its purity. Then it becomes painful. That's the time when you feel the pangs, the grief comes, because the love has changed its character. The relationship has changed its character. Your heart, rather than giving, is now craving to receive, is now wanting to control, is now wanting it for its own self. And the moment it becomes like that, the moment you become takers, you become demand something from the other person, you are putting a lot of strain on the other person's being. Whether you talk about it or not, whether you express it or not, as I told you, there is a link of consciousness between the two beings. When you're giving, the link is beautiful, harmonious, there's a feeling of expansion. But when your heart crumples, squeezes, becomes small and wants to take, then the relationship, the vibration of consciousness, the connection between you and the other person totally transforms, changes. And that is what brings hurt, that is what brings grief. And that is what brings a lot of pain to the whole experience of love. So we must understand that, we must be aware of what's happening within you with regards to the person you love. Are you in a giving mode, or are you started to control, started to take, started to then it will become painful for you. But just because there is this element of love, it's very important that we don't close our hearts, don't become hard-hearted, because this is the rasa of experience, the ananda of life, and we all deserve to experience that. So this is perhaps the experience when we talk about detachment, or detached attachment. What it means perhaps is no, there's so much love in you for the other person. There's so much of givingness. There's so much of compassion, care for the other one, but no element of taking, no element of control. And when you don't want anything, when you don't want any reciprocation, then I don't think you will have any pain. Then I don't think the relationship will suffer, because the vibration, the consciousness is totally different. And if there is we are living in the midst of extraordinary circumstances in the Earth's consciousness, with this pandemic, and I understand it has brought us very close to death. I think each one of us would have experienced somebody very close by, or in the family, or in the close circles, dying at just because of this COVID. So naturally, it brings it that element of fear. It actually forces us to look at relook at the whole life, the meaning of life, and also tells us how precarious life can be. So the question of death, the question of purpose of life, become very real questions when we are facing death, and especially in such extraordinary circumstances in which we are living right now. We cannot avoid these questions. So we cannot avoid these questions. So no solution, there is a fear, as Mufti you have expressed. There is fear. All of us have that fear of losing the ones who are most dear to us, because we cannot imagine life, how it will be when they are not there. It's a natural feel. It's a natural question, it's a natural fear. But one is, we need to make sure that the fears don't cripple us. They just remain a small fear in the background, and then they don't interfere in our life, in our experience of life. So we need to ensure that. And second is, if this question of fear, if that element of fear really becomes a veritable a problem which interferes in your life, which interferes in your experience of life, then definitely we need to take care of it. and removes that element from your being. Replace the vibration, that consciousness of fear, with a vibration of trust, with a vibration of love. And perhaps if it is still persistent, that vibration of fear is still persistent, then what we can do is to become aware of that vibration, hold it in front of you, and offer it to the Divine, so that the Divine takes care and you become free from that. So that's a sort of a practice which we can develop to become free from the vibrations, free from the emotions which we actually don't want. So that's sort of a purification of the emotional being, of the vital being, should be done. Otherwise, a little fear is natural, but it should not be allowed to take up too much of a space. Otherwise, the being, your heart, we should consciously try to fill it, to populate the heart with the feelings of love, feelings of divine, feelings of aspiration, and not allow the negative, dark feelings to creep in and spoil the place. Because the heart, the being, our being is a temple, and we all aspire for the divine to take care, to inhabit our being. So if we want the divine to inhabit our being, it's our responsibility to keep it pure, to keep it full of love, full of compassion, and full of aspiration. So that's something which we need to do. If somebody wants to say something, please feel free. This is not a one-way talk. So,
Sir, Mukti here again.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so I just basically wanted to understand the code of love. So what I mean by that is, love for my mother, or the love for my father, love for my maybe my companion, or for my sister, brother. Is there a different code for all these different relationships which we experience, especially in terms of love, or is it same? I mean, are there any codes for different relationships?
What do you mean when you say codes?
I mean, the experience that I have of love with my father is different. With my mother, it is different. Yeah, with my companion, it's different. So why is this different? Isn't love colorless, or is it like filled with different colors for different kinds of relationships?
Nature is full of variety. All relationships are not the same; they are different, right? The feeling is different, the vibration is different, the consciousness is different. So surely each relationship will have its own flavor, will have its own vibration. It will not be the same. It will not be the same. No? Even we ourselves are not the same each day. The vibration which we have is different at different times of the day, depending on so many factors. So in the same spirit, each relationship is different. The type of interaction, the type of vibration, the consciousness in which we interact with each other is different. And that's normal. And as I was telling you, every relation, there is a divine element, a deeper element, and there are the human element, which come from our surface being, element of control, the desire, what we want from the other person. And there's also that element of pure giving, pure love. So it depends on what should I say, the proportion in a relationship, how it is, no?
Yes, sir. Got it.
And the love which you have for the divine, also different for different people, right? No. For most of us, we only demand from the divine, I want this, I want that. No, we want a personal divine, a super being to take care of us, of our wants, of our needs. But as we evolve, as we grow up, we realize, we experience, that even our relationship with the divine can change. And there's much more joy in life if you give, and there's very little joy in demanding and taking. That's an experience which only experience can teach. I think most things in life we learn only by experience. I wish we could learn by a lecture, but somehow that never happens.
Yeah,
By experience we learn.
that's true.
Yes, Shreya, you have some question? Written something? Can the power of love transform the other person's egoism and the vice versa? The power of love can transform, but the problem of relationship is that we always change the other person. We always change the other person. How difficult it is to change our own. Control of ourselves. So the problem is all the problems in relationships. If you really dig down deep, you would realize that it comes from that desire to change the other person. He should behave in a certain way. He should think in a certain way. He should be in a certain way. I think we should stop doing that. There'll be much more peace in our life. To accept people as they are, to love them as much as you can. And if there's something you want to change, somebody you want to change, that should be you yourself. You must, we all must try to change our own being, our own patterns, and transform our own consciousness. That's our job. That's our Kurukshetra. The dharma, our dharma is to change ourselves, to make it divine, to transform ourselves, and become more and more beautiful beings, loving beings. But the moment you want to change somebody else, you are in for a disappointment. We can't even change ourselves. Forget about changing others. We can only love. We can love others. We can give as much as we have, whatever we have to others. That's what we can do. And if the other person changes, be happy with that. But don't try to change others. So. Say something.
Sir, how do we realize that we are truly loving a person? Whether it is your husband, whether it is your child, how do we know?
Why do you want to know? It's enough to love, though. Sometimes
So,
it's not important for the mind to know everything, That's what I've realized in my life. The most beautiful things in life, the mind will never know. So we should stop trying to satisfy our mind for everything. That's a realization which came with a lot of cost, with a lot of hard burn. But that's what I realized eventually is that the best things in life, the mind will never understand, the mind will never know. So leave it. But those are things of experience. Your heart understands, your heart knows, the feel. So just experience that. Just experience the love and make it as much pure as you can, and just remove those elements which I was talking to you about, of control, of wanting the other person to change. Just give love and prayers. You will see how beautiful the relationship goes. Stop trying to change anyone. And the mind has a very limited capacity, I will say. The mind has a very limited capacity to understand many things. The mind does not even know what is happening inside your heart. The mind does not even know what is happening inside your liver, inside your body. So forget about that mind. The intellectual mind, the rational mind. But there is also the consciousness within the body which knows everything what is happening, which is dictating what is happening. The love which is happening, the heart which is pulsating, the liver which is working. There is a consciousness and intelligence which is anyway working. But it is not the intellectual mind. So the intellectual mind need not know everything. It's not important for it to know everything. So sometimes we have to allow the mind to be addressed. It's okay, my dear boy, you're not the only one. You are important, but not the only one important. So it's okay. Loving is important. Not knowing, knowledge is not so important to know whether you're loving or not. But just to feel the love, to experience the love, and to be grounded in it. That's the experience. The alchemy is there in the experience.
So does past life karmas come in between love?
These are things beyond the scope of our mind. So only when we experience that, or when we have a, if it helps you to believe. Otherwise, these are matters of belief. You cannot deny them. You cannot mentally prove them. So surely our scriptures, our philosophy talks about karma, the past life. But for us, as we are in this world, there are very few of us who really understand that, and few of us who really have any practical experience of that. So whatever God has given us, the relationship that God has given us in this life, we should cherish them and give them as much love as we can. That's our sadhana also. it will help us. So it's not just the past life, it's this present life also which is important. So in this present life, the relationships we have, the that we can divinize, that we can offer to the divine and make it, not transform that. That is something available to us.
Yogesh, if you could shed some light on self-love as opposed to the obsession that we feel about ourselves, our future and past, how to go beyond that.
Can you come again, Vishnu? I didn't understand your question.
Yeah, so self-love, going beyond the obsession that one feels about one's own self, the past, the future, worries, etc. I mean, going beyond that and loving oneself truly. If you could share something on that.
See, the mother at many times she has spoken that the only being which concerns you is yourself, actually. The only person you have to change is you yourself. We are not here to change others, we are here to change ourselves. So this sadhana, this Kurukshetra, the battles which have to be won are the battles to be won within us. So speaking from that context of a sadhana, from an evolutionary point of view, from the purpose of life, surely we need to give a lot of importance to our own self, to our own spiritual sadhana, to our own evolution, to our own growth. There is no doubt about that. But that does not mean we need to worry about our pains and griefs and be obsessed only with the small little things of life. It doesn't mean that. What it means is you be obsessed with your deeper aspects of life, the deepest being within you, and work on that. So there is a irony here. So at one side what we say is don't be so selfish, don't think only about yourself. That is true, because we need not worry too much about what I will going to eat, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to wear, how much I'm going to earn, what's going to happen to my small little family, my little life. Definitely that's not a type of consciousness which we want to live with. No, it's a very limited way of living. So we need to go beyond that. But at the same time, we also need to be obsessed. The obsession should be on the spiritual growth of the being, of giving the being to the divine, so that you can become an instrument of the divine, so that your consciousness, your being can be transformed by the light, by the supramental. So that's the type of obsession which is a healthy obsession, right? An obsession with the small little details of the outer life is a negative obsession which is not going to lead you anywhere. It's not going to help you anywhere. It's only going to make your life a miserable one. But an obsession with your inner being, by invoking the divine always, by being always conscious of the divine, by doing every work as an offering to the divine, by being in that consciousness, is going to elevate your being, and you're going to be the most useful for the people around you. No. So if you transform yourself, become always loving, full of compassion, full of vitality, so your being itself is a great help for the people around you, for your loved ones. So that's what we need to transform. You know? Trying to from an outer to the inner. So that's the journey which is important. The obsession is not with our outer life but with our inner being. I hope it makes sense.
It does. Thank you so much.
I think we're almost out of time, Yogesh. Thank you very much for a very fruitful session. Thank you everyone for participating in a very positive way. We meet again tomorrow at 5:30, and the facilitator there is Dr. Monica Gelati. Unless you have anything more to say, Yogesh?
Thank you very much for this beautiful session, and I hope and
Thank you
pray
very
that
much.
you stay in
Thank
love.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, goodbye everyone. See you tomorrow.